welcome to Starbound. My name is General G, and I'll be your narrator today. Nearly 500 supporters get early access to our stories, including brand new episodes of Sunspire Academy and Freyr and Remeke. If you'd like to unlock early access and support new episodes in future series, tap Join below to become a Starbound member. Now, let's get into today's story. The dreadnought Consequence drops back into normal space with the sound of a breaking world. 300 light-years from Thessex Prime. Its hemorrhaging atmosphere from 3 hull breaches. Klaxons wail. Emergency lights paint everything the color of old blood. Kane stands over the corpse of Captain Thekval, watching purple ichor spread across the command deck's polished floor. The consortium rifle in his hands still hums with residual charge. Around him, 36 human soldiers secure stations, seal doors, and work with the desperate efficiency of people who know they've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. "Boss, I can still blow their nav core." Torres appears at his elbow. Demo packs slug over one shoulder, face streaked with alien blood that isn't his. "I'll scramble their logs. They won't know where we're headed next." Kane doesn't look away from the tactical display. Empty space surrounds them, but it won't last. "Hold the charges." Kane traces a finger across the star chart, finds what he needs. Earth, 1,200 light-years through hostile space. "We need their nav data." "That's suicide!" Briggs materializes from the chaos, the old Sergeant Major's Yorkshire accent thicker than usual. "Those engines are held together with prayer and Torres's tape. Another jump like the last one will get us home." Kane finally turns from the display. The assembled mutineers wait for orders, for absolution. 20 years of service to the consortium. 20 years of killing whoever they pointed at, and it all comes down to this moment in a stolen command center with death on its way. He keys in the ship's comm. "All hands, this is Kane. Status report." The Sergeant Major's voice crackles over comms. "Lost 5 more in the jump. Dimension sickness. The ones left are securing what they can, but boss, we found something in cargo bay 7. "Define something." "You need to see this yourself." Kane leaves Torres in command and heads for the cargo bay. The corridors show battle damage, scorch marks, bloodstains, the detritus of revolution. His soldiers work in teams, patching what they can, preparing for what's coming. Cargo Bay 7 is a standard holding area, 2 stories of open space. What isn't standard are the stasis pods lining the walls. Hundreds of them, each containing a small figure suspended in blue gel. "Kids." Olamide stands beside an open pod, face carved from stone. "They're all kids, 8, maybe 10 years old." Kane examines the pod's readout. Subject 47B. Origin, Earth. Lagos Sector. Destination, Consortium Education Center, Tarbeki Prime. Purpose, cultural integration. "Cultural integration, my arse!" Briggs spits on the deck. "They're taking them young, training them to be the perfect little citizens." Or perfect little soldiers. Kane moves down the line, reading designations. Birmingham, Detroit, Sao Paulo, every major Earth city represented. "How many?" 347. Olmide's voice cracks. "My little sister's age. They told us the immigration programs were voluntary, that families were choosing." "They told us a lot of things." Kane forces himself to think tactically. 300 children in stasis. Resources they don't have. Complications they can't afford. The smart play is to leave them frozen until they reach Earth. Can we wake them safely? "Life support's already strained." Briggs does the math. "Add 300 mouths to feed, and we're looking at maybe 2 weeks of air." "Earth's a few jumps away if we're careful. We can make it." Kane turns to Olamide. "You and your team, figure out the pod systems. We wake them in groups, youngest first. They'll be scared, confused. We tell them they're going home." "And if they ask why?" Olamide looks lost. "What do we tell them about their parents, about why they're here?" "The truth." Kane heads for the door. "Their parents sold them for food credits, and we're bringing them back because nobody else will. Questions?" Silence. Kane returns to the bridge to find organized chaos. Torres has identified 3 potential jump routes. Hollis argues for the safest path. Others want speed over caution. Contact! The soldier at sensors nearly falls out of his chair. 3 ships just dropped at a jump! Consortium interceptors! The tactical display updates. Commander Tarber's task force, moving in perfect formation. They're 5 minutes out, weapons hot. So much for repairs. Kane drops into the command chair. Torres, punch in the shortest route. All hands prepare for combat jump. Boss, the engines. We'll hold or they won't. We're out of options. Kane opens a channel to the incoming ships. Commander Tarber, didn't expect to see you so soon. The main screen flickers to life. Tarber looks like he hasn't slept since the mutiny. Good. Angry commanders make mistakes. Stand down immediately. The commander's voice drips venom. Return the consortium ship. Surrender your conspirators and I might allow the rest to die quickly. Counteroffer. Kane leans back in the stolen chair. You turn around, report us lost ship and jump, and nobody has to explain to your bosses how a handful of monkeys stole a dreadnought. You murdered the consortium captain. We defended ourselves. Kane checks the jump calculations. 2 minutes to minimum safe distance. Same as those deserters on Gamma 7. Same as every human who's figured out your protection racket. Difference is, we're done hiding in caves. You're done, period. Tarber cuts the channel. The interceptors accelerate. Particle beams light up space. The Consequence shudders as her shields take the first hits. Return fire! Kane grips his chair as the ship lurches. Everything we've got! The dreadnought's main guns speak. Even damaged, even crewed by desperate soldiers instead of trained naval personnel, she hits like a hammer. One interceptor explodes. Another spins away, venting atmosphere. But Tarber's ship keeps coming. Jump drive at 70%! Torres shouts over the alarms. We can go, but, do it! Reality tears. The Consequence falls through the wound, chased by particle beams and consortium curses. The jump feels wrong from the start. Too rough, too fast, like running downhill knowing you can't stop. Systems fail in cascade. Lights die, gravity flickers. In the cargo bay, children's pods switch to emergency power. On the bridge, Kane watches his revolution come apart at the seams. They translate back to normal space in pieces. Hull plates spin away into vacuum. The port engines explode, taking a quarter of their fuel reserves. But ahead, impossible and blue and perfect, hangs Earth. Holy shit! Torres stares at the navigation display. We made it. Boss, we actually... Contact multiple vectors! The sensor operator's voice breaks. Earth Defense Forces and... Fuck me! Tarber followed us through! Kane doesn't hesitate. Opens a broadcast channel on all Earth frequencies. This is Sergeant Major Marcus Kane, Terran Elevation Brigade, aboard the commandeered consortium vessel Consequence. I'm transmitting proof of consortium exploitation of Earth citizens. Check your data streams. Torres uploads everything. The Terran Sustainability Protocol, the termination orders, the children in their cargo bay. Earth's communication network lights up like a Christmas tree. Defense forces are demanding our surrender, someone reports. Let them demand. Kane watches Tarber's damaged interceptor limp toward them. Behind it, Earth's pitiful defense fleet mobilizes, caught between 2 forces that want them dead. Briggs, status on the children. First group waking up now. Scared but alive. Get them to escape pods, priority 1. Kane stands, studies the tactical situation. They can't fight both forces. Can't run on dead engines. Can't surrender without condemning every human on the ship. Unless... Torres, can you rig the main gun for overload? That would... Torres stops, understanding. Yeah, I can do that. Might take out half of the ship, though. Just need to take out one target. Kane points at the consortium communications satellite in Earth orbit, the one running their defense grid. Hollis steps forward. Sure, without that satellite, Earth's defenses go dark. We'd be defenseless against retaliation. We're already defenseless. Kane keys shipwide comm. All hands, this is Kane. Begin evacuation procedures. Priority to the children, then wounded, then whoever fits. Bridge crew stays until the end. On screen, Tarbur's ship closes in. Earth's defenders hesitate, caught between protecting the satellite and stopping the mutineers. In that hesitation, Kane sees opportunity. Charging main gun. Torres's fingers fly over the controls. 60 seconds to overload. Incoming transmission from Earth. The comm officer looks bewildered. It's riots, sir. Multiple cities. The data upload. People are fighting back. Kane allows himself a cold smile. 20 years of being the Consortium's weapon, and he finally gets to choose what breaks. Commander Tarbur is hailing. Put him through. The alien commander fills the screen, purple blood leaking from a head wound. You have doomed your entire species. When the fleet arrives, they'll find Earth ready. Kane settles back in his chair one last time. You were half right, Commander. Earth is a training world. You just never asked what it is training us for. To be soldiers. To serve. To survive. The main gun reaches critical charge. To endure. To remember every boot on our neck and wait for our chance. You gave us the stars, showed us your weaknesses, taught us your tactics. Thanks for the education. Kane cuts the channel. On the tactical display, escape pods scatter from the consequence like seeds from a dying flower. Each one carries children and soldiers and proof that the revolution has begun. 10 seconds to firing solution, Torres announces. Earth Defense Forces are breaking formation, someone reports. Half of them are turning on the other half. The universe holds its breath. Kane thinks of Birmingham, of narrow choices and narrower futures, of 20 years carrying a rifle for masters who saw him as disposable. Not anymore. Fire! The consequence speaks one last time. Her main gun vomits a column of overcharged death that turns the communications satellite into expanding vapor. Earth's defense grid dies instantly. In the confusion, escape pods streak toward atmosphere. Tarbur screams over comms, promises vengeance, but his damaged ship can't catch them all. Earth's forces are too busy fighting each other to care, and somewhere in Australia's outback, a cascade of escape pods rain down carrying 300 children, and the survivors of Kane's revolution begin their final descent. The consequence starts to break apart, her death accelerated by the gun's overload. Kane watches Birmingham rising over Earth's horizon, and wonders if the rain still smells the same. Boss, Torres points at the escape pod's status board. We've still got room in... No. Kane grips the dying ship's controls. Someone needs to make sure Tarbur follows us down. Get to the pods. That's an order. His bridge crew hesitates. These are soldiers who followed him through 20 years of hell. But they're also survivors, and they know a last stand when they see one. They go. All except Briggs, who settles into the weapons station like he's coming home. Engines are gone, the sergeant major reports. But we've got maneuvering thrusters and enough hull integrity for one last dance. Then, let's dance. Kane aims the dying dreadnought at Tarbur's interceptor. The commander tries to evade, but his ship is as damaged as theirs. They fall toward Earth together, locked in a final embrace of metal and fury. 3 days earlier, Firebase Gamma-7 squats like a metal tumor on Thessex Prime's northern continent. The jungle presses in from all sides, purple vegetation that moves wrong, sounds wrong, smells like rotting fruit and battery acid. Kane leads his elevation brigade through the dense growth, 40 soldiers who know how to move quiet and kill quieter. They're hunting resistance fighters, locals who object to the Consortium strip mining their sacred sites. Command wants them neutralized before the quarterly inspection. Contact, 200 meters. Briggs whispers over the squad net. Thermal signatures in the cave system. Kane raises a fist. The brigade stops instantly, weapons ready. They've done this dance 100 times on a dozen worlds. Find the rebels, box them in, put them down, collect their bonus, and forget their faces. Sir. Private Olamide creeps up behind him, rifle clutch too tight. 6 months out of Lagos, still believes the recruitment posters. What are our orders? Same as always. Kane studies the cave mouth through his scope. Something feels off. The approach is too obvious, the cover too good. We go in, they die, we go home. Home to the barracks? Home to the barracks. The kid hesitates. What's Earth like now? I left when I was 8. Don't remember much except the crowds and the smell of rain. Still crowded, still rains. Kane keeps his voice flat. No point feeding the kid's nostalgia. Earth isn't home anymore, not until his tour was up. Torres, take your squad left. Briggs, right flank. We push them deep and collapse the cave. Copy that. Torres sounds eager. Always does before a fight. Weapons free? Weapons free. They move in perfect coordination. 3 decades of combined experience flowing through the jungle like water finding the path of least resistance. The rebels don't stand a chance. Never do. The cave mouth looms ahead. Kane tastes metal on the air. Blood or machinery, doesn't matter which. He signals the advance. The first shots come from inside the cave. Plasma bolts sizzle past, lighting up the purple foliage. Kane's brigade returns fire, advancing by squads. Textbook consortium small unit tactics. Pushing left! Torres calls out. An explosion rocks the jungle. Scratch 2 rebels! Kane moves up the center. Olamide on his 6. The kid shoots well for a rookie. Controlled bursts, checking his corners. Earth might be a shithole, but it still produces quality killers. They breach the cave entrance. Darkness swallows them. Kane switches to thermal, sees heat signatures retreating deeper into the mountain. The rebels fight hard but stupid, wasting ammunition on suppressing fire that does nothing against consortium armor. Boss, something's wrong. Briggs' voice cuts through the combat chatter. These movement patterns. A rebel breaks cover, charging with a vibro blade raised. Kane puts 2 rounds center mass, watches the figure crumple. The body rolls, comes to rest face up in a shaft of light. Human. Dark skin, maybe 40 years old. Wearing scavenged consortium gear with the unit patches torn off. Fuck me. Torres appears from the left tunnel, dragging another body, also human. Boss, these aren't locals. I can see that. Kane kneels beside the corpse, finds dog tags tucked under ceramic armor. Reynolds J., Elevation Brigade, 3rd Battalion. Reported KIA 2 years ago. Deserters. Orders, sir? Olamide stands over another human body, voice carefully neutral. Kane thinks about the math. 40,000 human soldiers spread across consortium space. How many reported dead who aren't? How many decided the full 20 years was too long to wait? We finished the job. The words taste like ash. No witnesses. They push deeper. The deserters fight like cornered animals, which is what they are. No quarter asked or given. Kane leads from the front, the way he always does. Rifle talking in short, brutal sentences. The last pocket of resistance huddles in a natural chamber deep in the mountain. 6 deserters behind makeshift barricades. They're out of ammunition, down to blades and desperation. Kane could call for their surrender, could pretend there's another way this ends. Instead, he pulls a grenade from his belt. Fire in the hole! The explosion brings down part of the ceiling. When the dust clears, 5 deserters are dead. The 3rd, their leader, lies pinned under fallen rock, coughing blood. Kane approaches carefully. The dying man grins, teeth red in the tactical lights. Kane! The deserter's voice comes out wet, broken. Heard about you. The consortium's favorite dog. You knew the price for running. Kane checks the man's wounds. Fatal, but not fast. Could take another hour to bleed out. Running? The deserter laughs, sprays blood. We weren't running. We were preparing. For what? The man's hand moves, slow and painful, pulling a data pad from his vest. Kane takes the pad sticky with blood. The screen flickers to life, showing consortium files marked with classification levels he's never seen before. The dying man watches his face, still grinning. 20 years of service. The deserter's voice fades. That's the lie, Kane.
Read it. Read what happens to the old dogs when their time is up.
Kane stands. The humane thing would be to put a round in the man's head, end his suffering. Instead, he slides the datapad into his vest and turns away. We're done here. Briggs, call for extraction. Torres, demo the cave. Full collapse. What about... Olamide gestures at the dying deserter. What about him? Kane walks toward the daylight. Behind him, the deserter's laughter echoes off stone until Torres's charges bring the mountain down. That night, in the privacy of his quarters, Kane reads the files. The Terran Sustainability Protocol. Classified correspondence between consortium leadership and what remains of Earth's governments. Payment schedules. Quota systems. The careful cultivation of poverty and conflict to ensure a steady supply of desperate recruits. And at the bottom, buried in subsection appendices, the real prize. What happens to human soldiers who complete their 20 years? Not citizenship, not a pension and a quiet retirement. Termination. Clean, efficient, with their families told they died heroes. Kane sets down the pad and stares at his hands. 20 years of blood under his nails, except now he knows he won't live to see year 21. Outside his window, Thesix Prime's purple moon rises over the firebase. In the barracks, his soldiers sleep, dreaming of an Earth they'll never see again, not unless someone does something about it. Kane picks up his rifle and begins to clean it. He's good at his job. He's a good dog. Time to find out if he's good enough to turn it against the ones who made him this way. Kane shares the data in the latrine block at 0300, the only place on Firebase Gamma 7 without surveillance. The air stinks of industrial disinfectant and human shit. Perfect place for a conspiracy.
This is bollocks.
Briggs reads through the files on Kane's pad, face getting redder with each swipe.
20 years of this shit, and they plan to put us down like sick dogs? Keep your voice down.
Torres stands watch by the door, nervous energy making him bounce on his toes.
We don't know who else.
I know exactly who else. Kane takes back the pad. Every human in this firebase. Every human in the consortium. We're all dead men walking. Question is whether we die on our feet or our knees.
So, what's the play?
Briggs forces himself calm, defaulting to the steady NCO who's seen everything twice.
Can't fight 40,000 years of consortium rule with harsh language.
We don't fight the consortium. Kane pulls up the deployment schedules. We take their toys and go home. Tomorrow we ship out on the Consequence for rotation leave. Full brigade, skeleton crew, and enough firepower to glass a continent.
You want to steal a dreadnought?
Torres stops bouncing.
Boss, that's not just desertion, that's
revolution. The word hangs in the air like a challenge. Earth's been feeding the consortium soldiers for 3 centuries. Time we reminded both sides what kind of soldiers Earth makes.
The crew won't just hand over the ship.
Briggs scowls at the numbers.
200 Tarbecki, even with a skeleton complement, we'd need...
The latrine door creaks open. All 3 men freeze, hands moving to sidearms. Private Olamide steps inside, closes the door behind him. The kid's eyes are red, face drawn tight.
I heard voices.
Nothing to hear. Kane's hand rests on his pistol. Get back to your bunk, Private.
No, sir.
Olamide straightens.
Not until you tell me if it's true.
Torres shoots Kane a look. The kid's been listening, which means he dies here or joins them. No middle ground in revolution. Kane makes the choice. Shows Olamide the pad. Watches the kid's face crumble as he reads. Then harden into something Kane recognizes. The moment a soldier stops being a patriot and starts being a survivor.
I got 12 others from the Lagos recruitment.
Olamide hands back the pad.
Good soldiers, they'll follow if I vouch for you.
This isn't a democracy. Kane studies the kid. 6 months in, still has that new soldier shine. But his eyes are old now. You do exactly what I say when I say it. No questions, no hesitation.
Yes, sir.
And kid. Kane leans in close. This isn't about glory or freedom or any of that shit. This is about living past 40. You want noble causes? Join someone else's revolution. Olamide swallows hard. Understood, sir. Good. Briggs, work up a list. People we can trust, people we can't, people who might turn if pushed. Torres, I need an inventory of what you can build with standard maintenance supplies. How much boom do you want? Torres grins, sharp and feral. Because with the right chemicals, I can make that ship dance. Enough to cripple her if we have to, not enough to kill us all. Kane checks his watch. 0320. We've got 20 hours to turn enough to take a dreadnought. Move quiet, move smart. Anyone asks, you're excited about leave. They split up, disappear into the night. Kane returns to his quarters and lies on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. 20 years he's been the perfect soldier, following orders, completing missions, earning commendations he can't spend, and citizenship he'll never live to see. The recruitment poster on his wall shows Earth from orbit, blue and beautiful. Serve among the stars, it promises. Earn your place in the galaxy. Kane tears it down, feeds it to the incinerator. Earth doesn't need citizens among the stars. It needs soldiers who remember how to fight for more than just a paycheck. By 0600, he has 30 confirmations. By noon, 38. Soldiers who've read between the lines, done their own math, realized what 20 years really means. By evening, as they board the shuttles for the consequence, Kane's revolution numbers 43 soldiers who've decided that dying free beats living in bondage. It's not much against the entire consortium, but Earth wasn't built by much. It was built by the desperate, the stubborn, and the ones too stupid to know when they're beat. Kane settles into his shuttle seat and watches Firebase Gamma 7 shrink below. Next time he sees a planet, it'll be Earth or nothing at all. Loading day on the Consequence runs like every other military evolution. Organized chaos pretending to be efficiency. Human soldiers haul gear through corridors designed for beings with 4 arms and no spine, adapting like they always do. Kane moves through the controlled mess, mental map updating with each step. Emergency bulkheads here, atmosphere controls there. The Tarbeki crew treats them like furniture, not bothering to lower their voices when discussing the primitive mammals, cluttering their ship. Good. Arrogance makes for blind spots. Inventory delivery to Cargo Bay 7. Torres appears with a maintenance cart that rattles wrong. Too heavy for the cleaning supplies supposedly inside. Corridor is clear for the next 10 minutes. Kane nods, keeps walking. They communicate in movement and timing now, a language built from 2 decades of shared survival. Briggs passes, heading the opposite direction. Holds up 3 fingers against his thigh. 3 more confirmed. 3 more soldiers ready to bet their lives on a street rat's plan. The command deck looms ahead. Kane needs to see it, map the approaches, count the guards. He affects the 1,000-meter stare of a senior NCO with too much experience and not enough patience. Tarbeki officers step aside rather than deal with him. Captain Thekval himself stands at the primary console, reviewing departure protocols. You there? Thekval doesn't look up. Human, report to your Sergeant Major about the delays in cargo loading. Sir. Kane snaps to attention, uses the excuse to scan the bridge. 2 guards, both Tarbeki, 3 junior officers at secondary stations. The captain's key card hangs from his equipment belt. Thekval lists slightly left, compensating for some long-healed injury. Don't make me repeat myself, mammal. Sir, yes, sir. Kane backs out, files every detail. The guards look bored. The junior officers defer reflexively to Thekval. The captain himself radiates the casual confidence of someone who's never had his authority truly challenged. Perfect. Back in the barracks deck, Kane finds his people scattered among the regular troops, playing cards, cleaning weapons, bitching about the food. Normal military downtime, except for the way conversations pause when he passes. The quick eye contact that confirms commitment. Maintenance inspection in 4 hours, Briggs announces to the room at large. Standard procedure before departure. Also,
Perfect cover for final preparations. Full kit. Don't embarrass me in front of the Xenos.
Laughter ripples through the barracks. Soldiers begin the ritual of gear checks and weapon cleaning. Under the normalized chaos, Kane's conspirators make their final moves. Torres distributes components. A power cell here, chemical pack there. Nothing suspicious in isolation. Everything needed to turn the ship's maintenance systems into weapons. Olamide and his Lagos contingent inventory escape pods, memorizing locations and launch sequences. They're young, still believe this might end with everyone walking away clean. Kane lets them hope. Hope's useful until the shooting starts. The hours crawl by. Captain Thekval makes his inspection, strutting through the barracks like he owns the air they breathe, which technically he does. The consequence runs on consortium standard atmosphere, slightly too rich in nitrogen for human comfort. Your soldiers seem adequately prepared. Thekval addresses Kane directly, a calculated insult to acknowledge the human but not use his rank. Ensure they remain in their quarters during jump operations. We've had incidents with your species and dimensional displacement. Understood, sir. Kane watches the captain's keycard swing with each movement. Digital encryption, but the housing is standard consortium manufacture. Torres could crack it in 30 seconds with the right tools. Oh, and Sergeant, Thekval pauses at the hatch. I'm told this unit has an exemplary combat record, 23 successful deployments without significant casualties. We follow orders, sir. Indeed. Something in Thekval's tone suggests amusement. Earth produces such efficient killers. Almost worth the resources invested in your training. The captain leaves. Kane tastes blood and realizes he's bitten through his cheek. 20 years of swallowing pride, and it never gets easier. Boss, Hollis, one of the engineers, approaches carefully. Some of the boys are asking about after. What happens when we take the ship? We go home. And then? Kane looks at him. Hollis is 42, 3 years left on his contract. Old enough to know fairy tales don't come true. Then we make sure no human ever has to make this choice again. That's not much of a plan. You want detailed schematics? Join the Consortium Strategic Planning Board. Kane lowers his voice. You want to live past your expiration date? Be ready when I give the word. Hollis nods, returns to his bunk. Around the barracks, final preparations continue. Weapons cleaned and loaded with training rounds that Torres has modified into something deadlier. Emergency gear stashed in accessible locations. Mental maps compared and confirmed. By 2200, they're ready. 43 soldiers against 200 crew. Bad odds anywhere else, but the consequence is about to learn what Earth teaches her children. 0200 comes quiet and dark. The consequence runs on night cycle. Corridor lights dim to accommodate Tarbeki sleep patterns, perfect for humans who learn to hunt in Earth's ruins. Kane rises from his bunk fully dressed. Around him, 42 others do the same. No words. They've rehearsed this in their minds all day. Torres takes point, maintenance cart loaded with surprises. The first checkpoint is automated. Simple biometric scanner that Torres bypasses with a stolen maintenance code and a prayer to whatever patron saint watches over demolition experts. They flow through corridors like water through pipes, natural and inevitable. The Tarbeki designed their ships for efficiency, not defense. Why waste space on internal security when your crew would never dream of rebellion? Guard post ahead, Briggs whispers over the tactical net. 2 hostiles. Kane holds up 2 fingers, points at Olamide and another Lagos recruit. The kids move forward, young and eager to prove themselves. The guards don't even look up from their conversation until hands wrap around their throats. Their necks snap like wishes. Bridge team, go! Kane sends 15 soldiers ahead under Briggs. Engineering team, move! The ship splits into hunting packs. Each knows their role, their route, their timing. Kane leads the smallest group. Just him, Torres, and 4 others headed for the command deck. They reach the bridge access corridor. 1 guard on duty, half asleep at his post. Kane puts him all the way to sleep, with a knife between the ribs.
catches the body before it hits the deck. Charges set on the crew quarter bulkheads, Torres reports. They try to leave, they're paced. Good. Kane checks his rifle one last time. Training rounds replaced with live ammunition. Safety off. Command deck in 30 seconds. Questions? Yeah, Torres grins, manic energy barely contained. What's our ship's new name gonna be? Whatever we want. Kane stacks up on the bridge door. The door cycles open. Captain Thekval stands at his station, reviewing night reports. One junior officer mans navigation, another monitors ship systems. They have prepared 2 seconds to register the humans flooding their bridge before the shooting starts. Kane puts 3 rounds into the navigator before he can reach the alarm. Torres handles the systems officer with his usual explosive efficiency. The other soldiers secure secondary stations. Thekval moves faster than Kane expected. All 4 arms coordinate into a combat stance, reaching for weapons, alarms, anything to salvage the situation. Kane tackles him at the waist. They go down hard. Kane's combat knife already moving. But the Tarbeki have redundant organs, a flexible skeletal structure. 4 arms wrap around Kane, squeezing. The captain is stronger, has reach, has every physical advantage except one. He's never fought hungry. Kane breaks free with a Birmingham kiss, headbutt straight to Thekval's primary optical cluster. The alien reels back. Kane follows, knife finding the sweet spot between thorax and head segment. Purple blood fountains across the pristine deck. Captain Thekval dies with all 4 hands clutching his throat, unable to comprehend how his perfect order fell apart so fast. Bridge secure. Kane wipes purple blood from his face, but a proximity alert shrieks before he can key the tactical net. On the main screen, the Thessex Prime orbital station flashes red. They know. Engineering secure. Briggs's voice crackles over comms, ragged. Lost 2, but we got the reactors. Boss, intercepting launching, a soldier at the tactical station shouts. 6 angry red icons detach from the station, burning hard toward them. Torres, get us out of here, now! Kane drops into the command chair. Laying in a blind jump, boss. Torres wrestles with the nav console. No time for calculations. Demo team is ready to blow their nav core, scramble their tracking. A particle beam lances from the lead interceptor, carving a fresh wound in the hull. The ship shudders violently. Hold the charges! Kane shouts, his mind racing. We need their star charts! The engines won't take a jump like this! Hollis screams from an engineering feed. The tolerances! Make them take it! Kane overrides the cascade of warnings flooding the console. All hands, secure for emergency jump! This is not a drill! He hears the shriek of tearing metal over the comms as another beam hits. The damage reports are already scrolling, a litany of failures. The jump drive spools with a sound like a dying god. The consequence tears a hole in space and dives through. The command pod tears free from the consequence seconds before impact, designed for exactly this kind of emergency. Kane and Briggs ride it down like a meteor, heat shield screaming, attitude controls fighting physics. They hit the Australian outback hard enough to dig a new canyon. Kane comes to with blood in his mouth and Briggs dragging him from the wreckage. Move your arse, you stupid bastard! The sergeant major's left arm hangs useless, but his grip is iron. Tarbush survived the crash. Kane finds his feet, scans the horizon. Red earth and spinifex grass under a sun that burns like home. 200 meters away, Tarbur's interceptor smolders in pieces. The commander himself stands in the wreckage, working to free something from the debris. Weapons? What do you think? Briggs produces a combat knife, standard issue, sharp enough to cut dreams. His lordship over there is some kind of energy blade, though. Fair fight, then. They approach through the afternoon heat. Tarbur sees them coming, activates his weapon. A humming bar of contained plasma that could carve through tank armor. His pale skin already shows burns from Earth's sun. Purple blood seeps from a dozen wounds. Sergeant Major Kane. The commander assumes a combat stance that would be elegant on a low-gravity world. Here, it just looks wrong. I studied your file. 20 years of exemplary service. Commendations, victory after victory for the consortium. Wasn't my victories. Kane circles left while Briggs goes right. Basic pack tactics. Was yours. I was just the weapon. And now? Now, I'm retired. Tabor lunges, fast, even injured. The energy blade whispers past Kane's throat, close enough to singe stubble. But the commander stumbles on loose stones, unused to terrain that shifts and betrays. Evolution on a garden world didn't prepare him for Australia, trying to kill everything that moves. Kane doesn't waste the opening, gets inside the blade's reach, knife punching through the gap where Tarber species keep their primary nerve cluster. The commander staggers but doesn't fall. Redundant biology, distributed nervous system. You have no idea what you've done. Purple blood bubbles from Tarber's mouth. The fleet will come. Earth will burn. Maybe. Kane twists the knife. But we'll be ready. Every human in your fleet heard that broadcast. Everyone knows the truth now. How many will defect? How many will turn their guns on officers who see them as disposable? We gave you purpose. We had purpose before you found us. The knife finds something vital. Tarber's forearms spasm. You just gave us targets. The commander falls back to his knees in the red dust. Around them, escape pods streak across the sky like falling stars. Each one carries soldiers coming home. Children who'll grow up free. Proof that the revolution works. Earth was supposed to serve. Tarber's voice fades. That was the agreement. Your leaders sold us out. Kane pulls his knife free, wipes it clean on his torn uniform. Good thing about soldiers, though, we're used to bad leadership. Means we know how to improvise. Commander Tarber dies watching the escape pods land, confusion etched on his alien features. He never understood Earth, never understood what kind of species could thrive on a world that tried to kill them daily. But Kane understands, has always understood. Earth trains survivors. 2 months later, the revolution spreads like wildfire through a dry forest. Earth's puppet governments fall one by one as returning soldiers tell their stories. Moscow goes first. 10,000 veterans marching on the capital, demanding answers. New York follows. London, Beijing, Lagos erupts when Olamide leads freedom fighters to the immigration centers, revealing the child trafficking operation. Kane watches from a command center cobbled together in Sydney. Former soldiers turned revolutionary coordinators working around salvaged consortium tech. Reports flood in faster than they can process. Consortium garrison on Luna has surrendered. Torres, arms still in a sling from the crash, mans the communication station. Human troops took the base without firing a shot. Mars colonies are declaring independence, another operator reports. They're asking for military advisors. Tell them to hold position. Kane studies the tactical display showing near-Earth space. We secure the home world first. Briggs enters, finally out of the medical ward. You need to see this, boss. Intercepted consortium transmission. The message is simple. Earth is in rebellion. Human troops throughout consortium space are deserting, mutinying, or simply refusing orders. 40,000 trained soldiers scattered across 100 worlds, all asking the same question. Why should we die for those who plan to kill us? They want to negotiate. Briggs grins like a wolf. The mighty consortium wants to talk terms. No terms. Kane turns back to the display. Recognition of sovereignty. Reparations for 3 centuries of exploitation. Return of all human citizens. Non-negotiable. They'll send a fleet? Let them. Through the window, Kane can see the first new defense platforms rising. Built with salvaged consortium tech and human ingenuity. Crewed by soldiers who know exactly what they're fighting for. Every ship they send needs human hands to maintain it. Human soldiers to fight their ground wars. How long before those humans hear about Earth's revolution? The answer comes 3 months later, when the consortium battle fleet drops out of hyperspace. 50 dreadnoughts, hundreds of support vehicles, enough firepower to crack continents. Kane stands in Earth's primary defense center, watching the fleet deploy. Around him, thousands of returned soldiers man stations ready for the flight of their species' existence. "Incoming transmission," the comm officer announces. It's from their fleet." On screen, a human voice appears. Young, maybe 25, wearing consortium battle dress with the insignia torn off. Behind her, more human faces. "Earth Control, this is Lieutenant Maisie Adams, formerly of the Consortium Naval Infantry. I speak for the human personnel of Battle Group 7. She pauses, takes a breath. "We've taken our ships, awaiting instructions." The defense center erupts. On the tactical display, a third of the consortium fleet changes designation from hostile to friendly. Then another ship, another. The mutiny spreads through the fleet like a virus. Human crews turning on officers who never saw them as equals. The remaining consortium ships try to maintain formation, but it's chaos. Brother against brother, ship against ship. The battle becomes a civil war in the void, lit by the funeral pyres of dreadnoughts. "Sir," an operator points at her screen, "the Consortium Admiral is requesting terms." Kane watches the fleet tear itself apart and thinks of Birmingham rain, of choices made in narrow alleys with narrower futures. 20 years carrying a gun for masters who saw him as disposable. 20 years of being their perfect soldier. Turns out, that was exactly the training Earth needed. "Put him through." The Admiral is Harco, older than Tarber. "This is unprecedented. Humans are bound by treaty." "Treaties your people signed with governments you bought." Kane leans forward. "We didn't sign shit." "We will withdraw." The Admiral's words come like pulled teeth. "Earth will be recognized as sovereign, but human troops in consortium space must return to service." "No." Kane stands, addresses not just the Admiral, but the thousands of humans listening across the fleet. "Any human who wants to come home comes home. Anyone who wants to stay, stays as free citizens. Full rights, full pay, full recognition." "Impossible. The consortium will never—" "The consortium will." Kane gestures at the tactical display, where more ships switch sides with each passing moment. "Because the alternative is watching your entire civilization collapse, when the species you've been exploiting realizes it doesn't need you anymore." The Admiral considers this. Behind him, his bridge crew argues in their musical language. The math is simple. Accept the terms or watch human soldiers across the galaxy turn 3 centuries of military training against their former masters. "Terms accepted." The words taste like poison in the Admiral's mouth. "Earth is recognized. Human citizens will have full rights. Reparations will be negotiated." "Good choice." Kane cuts the channel, turns to his people. "Signal all human-controlled ships. Stand down, but stay alert. The war's over, but the peace is just beginning." Cheers echo through the defense center. Someone breaks out hidden bottles of real Earth whiskey. Toasts are raised to the dead, the living, the children coming home. Kane steps onto the observation deck, looks up at the stars. Once, they represented a prison, 20-year sentences for the desperate and poor. Now, they're possibilities, infinite and waiting. "What now, boss?" Torres joins him, bottle in hand. "We won. Earth is free. What's next?" Kane thinks of Tarber dying in the dust, confused why his perfect servants turned on him, of centuries of human children stolen, human soldiers expended, human potential wasted. "Now, we build." He takes the offered bottle, drinks deep. "We take their technology, their knowledge, everything they tried to keep from us. We turn Earth into what it always should have been." "Which is?" Kane grins, sharp and feral. "Not a training world, a graduation ceremony." The stars wait. Humanity is finally ready to meet them as equals, as conquerors, as free men. 5 years pass like thunderstorms, violent, transformative, leaving the world forever changed. Kane stands in the cargo hold of the liberation ship Birmingham Rain, watching his strike team prepare for insertion. They're all veterans of the Revolution, soldiers who learned their trade in consortium service and perfected it in rebellion. Today they're adding another chapter to humanity's new story.
2 minutes to drop,
Torres announces from the cockpit. Still talks too fast when excited, still fills silence with technical details.
Kessel Delta 9 has minimal orbital defenses. Seems the consortium didn't expect anyone to care about a mining world.
They never expect us to care about the disposable ones. Kane checks his rifle. Human designated now. Improved from consortium models. Everything they build is like that. Taking alien knowledge and making it better. Making it theirs. Through the viewports, the mining world spreads below like a spreading bruise. Ugly planet. All strip mines and processing plants. The kind of place the consortium builds on the bones of whoever was there first.
Contact from the surface, Briggs reports. The overseer's screaming about treaty violations.
Tell him we're here for a wellness check. Kane seals his helmet. Making sure human workers are being treated according to the new accords. They all know what they'll find. The consortium agrees to treaties with their fingers crossed. Changes words but not practices. Calls them contractors instead of slaves. Pays in company scrip instead of promises. But the paperwork looks clean, so the diplomats back on Earth debate while humans suffer. Kane doesn't debate. He liberates. The dropship punches through atmosphere like a fist through paper. Below, the mining complex spreads across a poisoned valley. Dormitories that look like prisons. Processing plants that breathe toxic smoke. Guard towers manned by consortium security who still think humans are prey. They're about to get educated. Remember, Kane addresses his team as they hit final approach. We're not conquerors. We're liberators. Hearts and minds stay priority one. But if they raise weapons, we put them down hard. The team speaks in unison. A ritual born from 100 similar operations. The landing is opposed, but not seriously. Consortium security forces, mostly Thylorian mercenaries, fire a few token shots before retreating to fortified positions. They're used to dealing with broken miners, not Earth's new breed of soldier. Kane leads from the front because that's what leaders do. First boots on the ground, first through the breach. The complex's defenders expect human wave tactics, the desperate charges of the untrained. Instead, they get precise violence. Overlapping fields of fire. Systematic elimination of strong points. The kind of warfare you learn putting down rebellions turned against the ones who taught it. Processing plant secured. Someone reports. Found the workers. Boss, you need to see this. The dormitories are worse than prisons. 8 humans to a room meant for 2. Children, because there are always children, huddle in corners. The stench of unwashed bodies and despair hangs thick. You're contractors, the overseer insists when they drag him from his climate-controlled office. 4 eyes blink in sequence. A Vorthan tell for nervousness. They've signed agreements. This is legal. Kane shows him the Liberation Charter, stamped with Earth's new seal. Coerced agreements are void. Withholding payment is theft. Using children for labor is standard practice. The overseer's throat sacs inflate with indignation. These humans came here voluntarily. We provide food, shelter. Show me the payment records. The overseer's silence speaks volumes. There are no records because there's no payment. Just company scrip for the company store. Debts that compound faster than wages. Children taken as collateral for their parents' desperation. Here's what happens now. Kane keeps his voice level, professional. He's not here to debate philosophy. The workers get a choice. Come with us to Earth, or stay as free employees with real wages. The children go home regardless. You can explain to your corporate masters why their workforce just became expensive. This is piracy. The consortium will...
The consortium will do nothing.
Briggs steps forward, combat shotgun casual in his hands. Because they need their minds running more than they need their pride. And because every world we liberate spreads the word, Earth stands with humans everywhere.
It takes 6 hours to process the liberated workers. Most choose to leave. Earth might be crowded, might be struggling to absorb the returning diaspora, but it's home. Some stay, negotiating real contracts with wages that would have seemed impossible 5 years ago. The children board the transport first. One girl, maybe 10, steps in front of Kane.
Are you really taking us home?
That's a promise.
My dad said Earth doesn't want us, that we're contract-born, not real citizens.
Kane kneels to her level, sees himself 30 years ago, another desperate kid with no good choices. Your dad's wrong. Earth wants everyone. That's what the revolution was for. She nods, not entirely convinced, but willing to hope. The transport lifts off, loaded with 300 souls heading home.
Next target's the processing station on Kessel Delta 7,
Torres reports. Bigger operation, might actually fight back. Good. Kane watches the overseer scramble to explain to his superiors why the quarterly quotas won't be met. Let them fight. Every shot they fire proves why we're necessary. The Birmingham rain lifts off, leaves the mining world a little less profitable and a lot more nervous. Word will spread throughout consortium channels. Earth's liberation fleet is active. Human workers have protection. The old ways are dying.
You know, they'll adapt,
Briggs says as they enter hyperspace.
Find new ways to exploit, new words for the same old shit.
Then we'll adapt too. Kane settles into the captain's chair. 5 years ago, he was a sergeant major with a stolen ship and a desperate plan. Now he commands a fleet of liberation ships, crewed by veterans who understand that freedom isn't won once, but daily.
Boss,
the communication officer interrupts.
Priority message from Earth. The Galactic Council's convening. They want to discuss the human question.
Kane laughs, short and sharp. Ha! Still calling us a question, like we're a problem to be solved.
What do we tell them?
Tell the Earth we'll send a representative. Tell them we look forward to discussing the real question.
Which is?
Kane looks at the stars streaming past, thinks of all the worlds where humans labor in bondage, and the children stolen for someone else's profit. All the soldiers dying for causes they'll never choose. How long they think they can keep us down. The Liberation Fleet jumps to hyperspace, heading for another world, another group of humans who need reminding. Earth remembers its children. All of them.